Hi guys, so I've been slapchop painting miniatures now for, well, nearly 2 years. And yeah, I've been using a variety of paints. And as you can see, yeah, dipping inks by Green Stuff World, the Citadel contrast paints, and good old Army Painter speed paints. And yeah, in this time I've used all of these. Probably more so the Army Painter speed paints, as they kindly sent me the, well, rather large box of all of them. So it's nice to have that good variety. But you'll have seen recently, yeah, I've been getting into the dipping inks by Green Stuff World more. You may not see many videos with the Citadel contrast paints, because they're the ones I probably used, well, probably even prior to doing the slapchop sort of painting technique. But yeah, so this video is a little showdown to show all three of them in all their glory. And as you can see, I'm getting the same sort of paints of each one, because I want to paint 3 orcs, well, like you'd have just seen. And I'm keeping the colour scheme the same, so that's why I'm using a brown, green, orange and red here. As you can see, similar sort of colours, but obviously you're going to have different kind of, well, results. And I know which one's my favourite, but yeah, guys, let me know in the comments which ones you've used and you prefer. Or even from this video, seeing how 3 of these orcs have been painted, yeah, let me know which one you prefer. So as there's only one of these ranges that currently do metallic paint, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint a normal sort of metal colour, and then just chuck a wash over it, just to keep them all, well, them all nice and fair. So to get the miniatures, as always, yeah, my mini factory, love going over there, and especially Mr. Modulork. As well, as you can see, he does the best looking orcs ever, I think. Such a huge variety of orcs, and they're all customizable, as in, well, the heads, bodies, arms, weapon layouts, all that kind of stuff, all separate. So you can really mix and match these in, well, whatever kind of way you want. And in this case, yeah, I'm keeping them kind of all as they are, with one little exception. This last dude didn't like his little middle finger, so I'm changing that hand for, well, a kind of a normal hand. And I'm using my Elegoo Saturn 4 Ultra for this, as yeah, this is a lovely little printer. I only had it a little while, but I love the fact that every time you turn this thing on, it goes through, well, like a self-check-in system, but it also levels the bed every time. And I just love how this thing works. And obviously this bed, when you're printing, it angles itself to help release the print. So every time it does a layer, it angles, as well as the pad moving up and down, which is just great. So like most printers, yeah, very easy to use. So this thing levels itself every time, and then all you got to do is push a few buttons, wait an hour and 46 in this case, printing's completed, and bosh, yeah, you got some lovely little miniatures straight out of, well, straight out of the printer. Obviously, say I don't have much room for printers, and yeah, so this one's currently in a corner on a desk. I do have a couple of printers in cupboards. Not working, but they are in cupboards waiting to be used again. So yeah, ideally when I can move to a bigger place, I will have a proper printing setup where I can have obviously more than one printer working at a time. So yeah, these have come out. Obviously they need to be washed before I can do anything with them. So when you get these wash stations, they come in these baskets, but as you can see, the basket's got some rather large, well, gaps, holes, and any small things you print out, yeah, do fall through. And as this is, well, a miniature hobbyist channel, I do print small things. So I just put some mesh at the bottom just to make sure, yeah, none of my bits get knocked through. And while I'm here, just want to make a quick thank you and shout out to all my lovely patrons for helping support the channel. As with your help, yeah, it means I get to be a big kid and mess about with, well, with videos like this. And the other way you can all help out is by hitting that subscribe button if you're not already a member. And if you can share the video, that would be awesome too. And hitting the like button and leaving comments down below, as this helps YouTube, well, put my video out to more and more people. So this is what I say about all these little miniatures. Yeah, you get to sort of put them together however you want. But I've kind of stuck them as they were. Apart from Centre Guy's middle finger, I've now given him a microphone instead. So yeah, we're going to snap chop these. So again, they're all going to be done in the very same way. So starting with, yeah, my textured dry brush, it isn't as textured anymore, as I have been using this a lot. So it is obviously caked in, well, a lot of paint. So maybe I need to 3D print a new one out very soon. Yeah, so dry brushing. I'm often asked about dry brushing. I use whatever white I've got. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Sometimes though, when you do sort of dry brush with white, you will find when it dries, it might almost turn a little bit grey. And in some cases, I then go over and give it another light dry brushing with white. So this is all a personal preference. But yeah, you kind of want more white than not, I guess. Because obviously the idea is you're not going to get into the nooks and crannies. So they are going to stay nice and dark. But any raised areas, flat areas, yeah, they are going to get a lot more of the white dry brushing. So the colour you put over the top will be more prominent and seen. Which is obviously pretty awesome. So yeah, it doesn't take too long to dry brush these guys. As you can see, sometimes I have to sort of put the dry brush in, spin it around just to try and get in, not the nooks and crannies, but just areas that, well, you can't sort of dry brush normally. So yeah, did the same thing for all three. So this is a real fair experiment. These are all identical, apart from obviously the actual miniature look itself. And now, yeah, now the fun starts. As I say, I've got the same sort of greens for each one, same sort of browns and blues. Because I want them to look obviously similar, say definitely in the colour look, but just to sort of see how well these paints go on, how they dry, and how the miniature looks, well, at the very end. So I will mention now, guys, I am going to go through each colour on each miniature, so you may want to grab a cup of tea, some biscuits, settle down, feet up, and yeah, enjoy the process and see how they go on. So starting with the green stuff, dipping inks. As you'll see me use this quite a lot recently, as I just love the fact this stuff is so fluid. It's a lot more sort of waterier, again for want of a better term, than the other two, which means this really does pull a whole lot more in the nooks and crannies. And yeah, the raised areas definitely get a much lighter sort of coating, which I really love. And I say that's obviously why I've been using this one quite a lot now for the last sort of few months. This does seem to be my go-to one. Obviously, there are other kind of speed paints out there that I do need to try. But say for this this little show, it is just the different inks, speed paints, and the contrast paints by Citadel. So yeah, again, so I love Orcs, and obviously I've picked my favourite kind of green from each of the ranges that I'm using here. And funny enough, they are very similar in look, the sort of shades and colours, which isn't too surprising because, well, say, this is my favourite look of green. So, yeah, not too surprising. They are all going to look the same. But as you can see, the definition in these miniatures. So, yeah, go check out Mr. Modular Orc if, like me, you are absolutely in love with Orcs as well. I just love the ones he does because they really are nice and, well, very defined, very good looking. And, yeah, just awesome. So the contrast paints by Citadel, these are probably the ones that I've used the least. I certainly would have used these prior to doing the sort of the slap chop paint technique. As you can see there, yeah, I've got a little 3D printed holder. Just so, well, I've been fortunate enough, I've never once knocked over a bottle or spilt the bottle. Because, well, it's in a lovely little holder. If you want to get hold of the holder, this is on my Patreon page, as well as, well, the dry brush palette, and a whole variety of other things that I kind of make, and then 3D print. Yeah, they can be found over on my my Patreon page. So don't forget, prior to using any of these paints, yeah, they all had a good old shaking, as well. Any paints, or every paint really needs a good shaking. So yeah, definitely done that with these as well. And yeah, say straight out the bat, love all the greens there. They look really good. Can't say at the moment is a favourite one. I think all the greens have come out perfectly. That's going to change though when I do these blues. There is definitely a favourite of these blues. So I'm using these for their sort of jeans. And yeah, you may well know already, prior to even seeing me paint these, which one I am going to say is my my preferred favourite. But again, it'd be great to hear your sort of opinions on this as well, guys. Especially if you use either or any or even all of these paints that I'm showing. Yeah, do you have sort of favourites, or do you have a good old mix and match? This is where I don't exactly have OCD, but yeah, for me, when I'm painting a miniature, I have to stick with the same range of paints. It's a bit bizarre, and I wish I didn't, because say there are some paints that I do prefer from other sort of products, other ranges, but yeah, for some reason I just don't like mixing and matching. Very weird, but there you go. So this runic grey, well, there's hardly any of it left in the pot, and that's because, well, no surprise, this is my favourite go-to blue for doing jeans. I just love the way it looks. It really does give that denim look. Yes, I've kind of already spoilt the surprise, but out of these blues, this is by far my favourite. It just goes on really well, and then it dries and it just looks like denim jeans, which is really good. So the green stuff, well, deepening one you just saw, yeah, not too bad, but it did seem a lot sort of darker, and possibly not as wet as it should have done, or could be. But yeah, so there's the runic grey by Speed Painter. Yeah, this one I don't think I've ever used. Again, with the Citadel ones, I'll have to be honest and say, even though I've got loads of their paints, I hardly ever use them. Yeah, I think it's the old moment of madness. I've gone out and bought like the contrast set, one of the smaller ones, so I don't have too many of their paints, and then probably never used them because again that was prior to me slap chopping, which basically meant anytime I painted prior to slap chop, I didn't enjoy painting miniature figures. I enjoyed making things, and then everything would be a rust bucket. But in regards to painting these miniatures, yeah, prior to slap chopping, I didn't really do it much, even though I had all the paints. But yeah, it really was a game of all the paints, no idea. So yeah, this blue's dried. Yeah, it's all right, but say it's definitely not like runic grey. So yeah, this one definitely goes down to runic grey being the best blue. But again, that's only because I like the fact it does look like denim jeans, which is pretty cool. So yeah, now onto the browns, and again doing the same sort of ones on all of them, keeping it nice and fair. And yeah, for this one, yeah, I don't think there was any real clear winner. They've all performed really well with the brown. All gone on well, all dried well, and yeah, look like sort of brown leathery boots, I guess. So the one thing I will obviously say with these paints, the Speed Paints by Army Painter certainly has the largest of the ranges, but that's not necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it is having that large choice, but then sometimes for me, when you have too much choice, it really is a case of what do I use. And this is one of those reasons where painting the lid of the colour is essential, because as you can see, this brown, it looks very faint and light on the actual bottle, but it comes out a lot darker and, well, a lot more like a brown. And generally, whenever I get new paints, the first thing I do is, yeah, I paint the lids just to get the true representation of what the colours look like. Because sometimes, yeah, they don't always look how they're meant to look. Whether this is just getting a off bottle, I'm not too sure, or whether this is just how they come out. But yes, certainly with the Army Painter Speed Paints, there's only about 2 or 3 colours, but yeah, they definitely don't look anything like what they do on their little picture description. Obviously with the Citadel colour ones, yeah, I didn't paint any of the lids. Again, these really have been sitting around for probably about 2 years, these paints. Some of them were unopened, any can't even talk, and any that were open, yeah, they wouldn't have been much used at all because, yeah, as I say, these aren't paints that I was going to use. That being said, I think I have now come to a conclusion and a time where I do have more paints than I can actually use. So, guys, would anyone be interested in buying second-hand paints? By second-hand, I mean a lot of them haven't been used, and any that have been used, they haven't been used much. Only because I've got loads of paints now sitting in bags in cupboards because I've got no room. But there we go. So far, yeah, everything's looking good. Yeah, so there are obviously subtle differences between all 3, but in general, they are all working. Yeah, not too bad at all. So moving on, a bit of an orange here. Again, I wanted to try and get a variety of colours for these chaps. So this isn't necessarily how I would have painted them if I was painting them for like a kill team or to put in a diorama. But this was just a case of getting a nice variety of the colours and trying them out on each of them. So definitely with this orange, as you can see, it really is sort of very fluid, very watered down in look. But again, this is now why I love using the dipping inks. And yet when I first used them, about 6 months or more ago, this is the reason I didn't like their paints, because they were too wet, too watery. But then the more you use them and you appreciate they are going to be that bit wetter, So in in the first case, don't put too much on your brush, otherwise it's just going to be dripping off. But two, it gives you that flexibility of when it dries, if you want it to be darker, give it a second coat. So yeah, a lot more flexibility in it. Because as you'll see here, with both the speed paint and the Citadel one, they go on, again, go on beautifully. Definitely a lovely orange look, but they start off very strong in colour, which means you can only then get obviously darker. So yeah, that's the reason I really do like the dipping inks now, because you can obviously build up the layers, so to speak, and they don't reactivate in any way. So yeah, you can paint one, put another layer on, and yeah, it'll just go on beautifully. But that being said, yeah, I do like the look of this orange, because it's a nice vibrant orange, and well, orange is my favourite colour. So yeah, that's kind of the other reason I wanted to get orange in this, just see how they've come out. Again, the Citadel one, I'm going to say it every time, this is one that I've yeah, not really used, but it goes on beautifully. Yeah, in fact, it's very similar to the Army Painter one. As in, yeah, they are almost identical. Go on really nice, and dry really nice. Definitely leaving the darker bits in the good old nooks and crannies, and yeah, the lighter areas, well, looking nice and light and bright orange. If you are new here, like what I do, it would be great if you could hit that subscribe button, like, share, leave comments, all that wonderful stuff. And there you go. So you can definitely see the orange, yeah, much lighter, but you can see there's a dark pool area, and the orange would look the same as, well, the dude on the left here, if I did do like a second coat. And again, that's just why I love the dipping inks now, just because you do have that more control over just how strong or vibrant you want the colours to look. So moving on to red, yeah, I don't really use a lot of red, I don't think, in many of the miniatures. But again, yeah, for these dudes, I thought we'd go with the hair, just as a nice big sort of contrast to their sort of normal green skin. And again, just because I wanted to try and get a good variety of colours here, just so you could see, well, exactly how each one looks. And yeah, to be fair, with the reds, yeah, they all came out really well. I kind of liked all of them. No real preference with one to the other. And obviously that's the main thing about painting. Yeah, beauty really is in the eye of the beholder. So what one person might like, another person might absolutely hate. So yeah, this is just a bit of a comparison, guys, just so you can see all three of these orcs painted in similar colours. And obviously take from it what you will. Say for me, yeah, there's definitely a preference. Well, it's kind of obvious. My preference is the dipping ink ones, just because I just love the fact they are more fluid, more watery, and yeah, you can just build up the colours. Although that being said, after me doing this video, I went through and had a good old look at my dipping inks again, and there is a better blue that I should have used for the sort of denim look trousers. But yeah, so I pretty much just grabbed a blue at random when I first picked it. The only colours that I actually sort of really thought about was the greens, just because, I say, these are my favourite greens from each of the different types. Yeah, very similar in look, and well, I just love them all. So blacks, yeah, this is where I'm always saying the dipping ink one, yeah, I love it, because it really does come out, well, in my opinion, much better than all the others. Again, because it's fluid, it pulls more. So yeah, the dark, or the nooks and crannies, definitely are going to look a lot darker than anything else. And the raised areas, yeah, it really is going to get a weak amount of the black. So whilst it will be black, it's not going to be a strong black to then sort of like hide all the, well, the definition in the miniature you're painting. So guys, I am always saying, if there's anything you want to see me do in any of my videos, by all means let me know in the comments. As well, I love trying out new things, and I love hearing what you guys, well, want to see me do, really. So yeah, things like this, the old sort of painting, well, a little battle here between these paints. If there's any more of these kind of things you want to see me do, by all means let me know. Or if there's any kind of miniature you want to see me paint. Obviously I am still painting a lot of the Hero Quest miniatures. I do have a few packs of Zombicide, so I'll be painting some of them miniatures as well. But yeah, any kind of miniatures you want to see me paint, or, well, attempt to paint, yeah, by all means let me know. I am still going to be messing about with some resin as well, so keep an eye out for some resin builds coming. Whether they fail or succeed, I will still continue to film the video, and it will come out. Again, for me, this isn't about me sort of trying to show off what I'm doing. This is me just messing about, doing stuff. And if I do make mistakes, yeah, I leave them in. Because obviously, well, for one, it's good for me because sometimes I do go back and re-watch some of my videos. So if I have done something and I've made a right hash of it, then I watch it to sort of see what went wrong, in the hope that next time I do whatever it is, I can not make a hash of it. So yeah, with the resin videos, again, it's something I haven't done many of. I think I've only done about 2 or 3 resin videos. And to be fair, the last one, whilst not perfect, wasn't too bad at all. So I finished these guys off with some metal and some wash there. And yeah, let's see these guys in, well, all their glory. And there we go. So yeah, I've absolutely loved how all 3 have come out. Love painting them. So yeah, so all paints when it comes to using them, yeah, absolutely perfect. And I say, there's no real sort of bad ones amongst them. Like most things though, especially with the army painter ones, there are paints that seem to work better than others. And I think that could probably be said for all of them really, I guess. But yeah, for me, the Dipping Inks one is by far my favourite. Again, just because you have more control over how it comes out. And you can see with the orange, there's that bit there that's gone a bit darker. So it does sort of show that, yeah, you can have these as dark or as light as you want. So as all these paints are very similar in their look, feel, and, well, how they kind of work, I guess the one other factor you need to take into consideration, especially if you haven't used any of these kind of paints before and you are thinking about and looking at getting some of the paints, and that's got to be the price. Whilst I'm not going to put any prices on here, because obviously you can get them from different places and there's always possibly discounts going on. What I will say though is the Dipping Inks are by far a whole lot cheaper. And in some cases we're looking at nearly half the price as the other 2. So yeah, if money is is definitely a factor here, then yeah, again, the Green Stuff Dipping Inks is probably the favourite there because it is just so much cheaper. I say, especially when the results are all similar, if not preferred the Dipping Inks, like I say, the reason I do. Yeah, if you're new to this hobby and just getting into it, then yeah, maybe go and buy just some of the Dipping Inks, just because they are a lot cheaper, and well, give them a go, and then see which one you kind of prefer. Okay guys, thanks a lot for watching the video. You all take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.